Hey, what's up, everybody? That's my WWE pose for some strength training for golfers here. Hope everybody's having a good Monday. We are off and running. I wanted to come on and pick up where we left off from last week, where we talked a lot about myth busting, some of the golf fitness topics out there that seem to be the most common, the most talked about, the most polarizing. So today it's just going to be strength training for golf. And the first myth was that, strength training for golf is going to make you inflexible, or you're going to lose flexibility, you're going to lose your turn, or probably my favorite one is I'm going to get too big for golf. You have to work really hard to get big for golf. Like it is a full-time job almost to get big, in anything muscle mass wise. So I don't think we need to worry too much about that, but I mean that with the most respect. So what we do then for strength training, today I'm going to talk about just the logistics and the breakdown of how you go about strength training to build muscle strength. Can be for golf, but really just can be for anything without adding mass. So those are two different things like we talked about. And today we'll talk about the parameters of what, regardless of what exercise you're doing resistance training wise, what are the parameters to build muscle strength. And then tomorrow we'll get into some of our favorite golf fitness exercises. Obviously there's a bazillion and it's going to be a little cookie cutter, but start to give you an idea of what are some of our favorite strength exercises to work on and why. Okay. So in terms of building strength for golf, then what are the parameters we're looking for? It's going to be really kind of surprising. So we're going for 2 or 3 sets. All right. So first of all, let me back up a step. You gotta try to have a rough estimate of what your 1 rep max is, or actually figure out what your 1 rep max is for things. So things I'm talking about: squatting, deadlifting, pressing, pulling, those sorts of things. Now, if you don't want to find out what your 1 rep max is, then we can talk about that, and you can ask me some questions in the comments. But there's other ways to do it based off of what we call RPE, which is rating of perceived exertion. Sometimes that can be doable if you don't have a good idea of what your 1 rep max is, or if you don't have a specific, if an exercise isn't one of those exercises that would necessarily have a 1 rep max, maybe like a bent over row or something like that. So find out what your 1 rep max is, which is just the most amount of weight or resistance you can do one time. That would be your 1 rep max. And then what we want to think about for strength training, building muscle strength, again, not mass, but building muscle strength, is 80 to 90% of that 1 rep max. So that's going to be your weight selection or your challenge or your resistance challenge, okay? 80 to 90% of that 1 rep max. Now you're going to do it up to 6 times, okay? So usually in that 4, 5, 6 rep range is where you're going to be. And we're going to do 2 or 3 sets of that, okay? Now, the important thing and the other differentiator between muscle strength and then maybe how we try to get like muscle mass is going to be the recovery period. And this is a very interesting and important detail, is that your recovery period for building muscle strength is going to be 2 to 5 minutes, meaning you do a set and maybe you can go and work on something else, but for that specific targeted movement pattern or muscle, you're going to rest 2 to 5 minutes before you come back for set 2, and then another 2 to 5 minutes before you come back for set 3. So muscle strength, really, the neuromuscular system really needs that recovery period between these sets, and that's how you're going to build some of that strength. The other thing too is, thinking about for mass, the actual recovery time is going to be less. So if you're trying to build muscle mass, you're actually only going to be resting 30 to 90 seconds. So there is a difference between those two things, but I'll put all this in the comments to break it out for you, so you can just you can read it and have it as a reference. But we're going to be looking for strength training for building muscle strength, not mass, not endurance, but building muscle strength, which I don't want to speak for anybody, but I think at the end of the day, that's where we want to be for golf, okay? At least as building a foundation for golf, for injury prevention, for performance, for distance. So find out what your 1 rep max is. If you have questions about that and you don't want to do 1 rep max, you can let me know in the comments, and I'll talk to you about RPE, which is rating of perceived exertion. And then your weight selection is going to be 80 to 90% of that 1 rep max. and you're gonna do that weight up to 6 times. Probably gonna be in that 5 to 6 rep range before you kind of gas out. And then you're gonna recover, you're gonna rest for 2 to 5 minutes. And then you're gonna do those sets. You're gonna do sets of that 2 or 3 times. And that is strength training for golf. Tomorrow we're gonna talk about what are some of our favorite exercises to then take and do, set those parameters to. So be on the lookout for that tomorrow. But this is the nuts and bolts of strength training for golf. Is it overly exciting? No. Is it important that you understand when you go to the gym, if you're gonna put the time in with myself, with anybody, on your own at the gym, make sure you understand what parameters make the most sense for you in terms of what you're trying to accomplish. And I think for most of us nowadays, we should be shooting for strength training, for just building muscle strength, and those parameters are gonna help you do that. Tomorrow we're gonna talk a little bit about the squat pattern, the hinge pattern, push and pull, and then carries. And really those five variations are gonna be perfect for you for strength training, so we'll cover that tomorrow. Hope everybody has a great week. Happy Monday. Let's get strength training for golf. We'll be talking to you in the comments. Thank you.